I'm a go dogs kind of guy, but
I'm sorry.
Do we all agree that the UGA, they have a good playbook? They have a winning playbook. They have a winning playbook.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah.
University of Kentucky does not. You're like, so anyway, but here's my point. Here's the reason I'm setting it up that way. It's the same game. One is a playbook that wins. One is a playbook that doesn't win so much.
Yep.
And what we have as Americans, we've been given a playbook from our parents, from the financial institutions, and we're not winning. What's keeping you from becoming rich? It's not what you don't know. In my experience, that is not the main thing that's keeping you from getting ahead. The main thing that's keeping you from getting ahead is what you know to be true about money that's not true. Ooh. Damn, son.
So back to what I was saying.
What's up, friends, family, and fans? Welcome to Life On Podcast. This is where we listen and inspire friends in entertainment.
And everywhere.
That's right, because life happens to everyone, especially when Johnny keeps switching the camera, and I don't know which one to freaking look at right now. But anyway, we are Life. Y'all, with my homeboy, David Bradford. We're going to get into who he is and what he does. The reason why I have David on here today is, you guys, we try to bring you value and all that kind of good stuff. Anyway, you're a financial guy, financial guru, but you're more than that. First thing I actually want to talk on is, one, how'd you get to where you are?
Oh wow!
That's
a sad story.
Yeah, a little come up story. But you're one of those guys that once you kind of get into something, you kind of become an expert of it. Like even like your health.
I'm an all-in guy.
Yeah, your faith, and then money. So just take us on a quick journey from little Davy to.
Actually, it's funny. That's what everyone calls me in my hometown, Davy.
That's hilarious.
Funny. It's funny you say little Davy. I'm like,
that is hilarious.
Who you been talking to?
Holy Spirit.
Who you been talking to?
Okay. Yeah. So what's your come up story?
Man, I tell you. So I was raised in South Carolina, a very Christian home. Preaching the Bible, going to that kind of thing. And anyway, played a lot of football. I loved lifting, loved fitness. I wanted to go into sports fitness. So when I went to Wofford College, played football there, out in Spartanburg, South Carolina. But I got called to the ministry middle of my freshman year and changed my major. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm an all-in guy.
What'd that look like?
No plan B.
Called? Yeah.
So I went to this conference in Atlanta, happened to be in Atlanta. And this guy he was going blind and he was memorizing the entire Bible.
Okay.
Book of Eli.
Like, holy, yeah. Whoa, yeah, there, Book of Eli, yeah. He just didn't have a sword and stuff.
Doing it through Braille and all that.
Right.
And he was talking about Ecclesiastes and, what's the purpose of your life? And it just hit me between the eyes. I want to make an impact on people. Yeah. And I love fitness. And I wanted to be around athletes and gyms and all that stuff. But that God just switched the script on me, said, this is where you're going. And I'm like, yes, sir.
Were you doing something prior to that moment? Was life going down a different path? Was there a lot of worldliness happening to where you just had a hit on the back of the head and said, hey, it's about time to stop?
Put the children to bed, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what happens when you leave the fold, you go to college and you don't have any accountability.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do know.
I tasted the pizza a little bit, and but I knew I was running. I knew I was running away.
Right.
And
So before you could become the prodigal son, you reeled it in.
He reeled me in pretty quick.
Right on. Okay.
So went to seminary. I got married, went to seminary. Long story short, I'm in Savannah. I'm leading an interracial church, trying to get these uptight white Presbyterians to learn what interracial means. It doesn't mean we welcome all people. It means you have to take on the culture, right? You have to understand it and welcome it and take it into you. The best friend of in my life still today, LaRon Fleming, African-American guy out of Greenville. He was our worship director, our outreach director. We were doing this thing. And 5 kids, 10 years of ministry, 15 years of marriage. And my wife decided she wanted to be married to somebody else. Found out she was cheating on me. Had to fight to get custody of my 5 kids. My pastor coaches said, look, you got to fight for your kids. You can't shepherd the sheep while you're trying to do that.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So in God's grace, I got custody of my 5 kids, moved back to South Carolina. And here I am. I'm almost 40. I know God loves me. I know God's in control, but I didn't know what was next. Long story short, met my wife on eHarmony, moved to Atlanta.
Wait a minute.
eHarmony.
Really?
eHarmony.
Okay. Still married now.
Oh, yeah.
Gabby.
I think we're happily married.
Does she say you are? As long as she
says
then-
he's happy. No, we're happily married. So, but the crazy thing was, it was just this scary moment where I didn't even have time to grieve.
Yeah.
I didn't have time to grieve the loss of a vision, being a pastor, dying a pastor, this vision of an interracial church and planting other churches. And it died. But I didn't know what was next.
Right.
Like, what's the next plan?
That's interesting.
So what I've always told my kids, I ended up raising 6 kids. I adopted my stepson. I always told my kids, thrive where God puts you. You don't have to know what's next. You just have to thrive where you're
Do
at.
your best where you are.
And so I did. I thrived where I was at in the job I had in town. Did car sales. Did outside sales, making 6 figures. I met Todd Burkhalter, who started Drive Planning, and he said, "Why don't you come build this thing with me? This outside the box. We're going to show ordinary people how wealthy people build wealth.
Boom.
It's a different playbook." Yeah. And I was making more money than I ever thought I could. Very thankful for it. And I was like, I don't know. I just felt there was something about it. And I was like, let's do it. So fast forward 3 years later, we're trying to get Drive Planning off the ground. I'm in a parking lot at Publix. It's around mid-December, and I'm in tears because my house was going to be foreclosed on in 2 months, and I didn't have enough money to.
Wait.
I was gonna say, I thought you just
making
had a
more
bag.
money than
I
you thought you were.
you were balling.
No,
2 seconds ago.
I left my outside sales job to help him.
Gotcha.
Build
That's it. We
gotcha.
glossed over
That
some
was
stuff.
disconnect.
I got you.
That was
I
the
got you.
I did not make
Sony
that
to
clear.
social death.
I did not make that
period.
clear. I left that job
Okay.
to start this
Gotcha.
thing called Drive
So
Planning.
this whole thing was a startup, essentially.
Yeah, starting from scratch. And,
Gotcha.
we had a lot of resistance from traditional financial people. We had a lot of resistance from people. I've never heard it that way. That sounds too good to be true. I hear this all the time.
Right.
We've never done it that way, and we're trying to get this thing off the ground. And I was at such a low point. I knew this was where I was supposed to be, but I didn't understand why it wasn't going ahead. And that was the year it took off.
I want to hold up on one thing real quick before we get too far past the beginning of the story. First marriage ends after you find out some devastating news. That's backsliding material all day in my book. I'm sorry. You got to come see me. You got to run me my fair one if you know we were married. How do you deal with the emotional aspect of it? Because you said you felt it falling apart. Because we jumped really fast to making more money than you ever thought you could make and finding the love of your life on eHarmony. I need to hear
We
about
got
this.
out the desert real quick.
Yeah, I need these 40 years real quick.
So we're getting. I mean, you're getting into the deep weeds of my dark moments, right? So, I read all of these emails and messages between her and this guy. She was doing it on our computer. I had some kind of software where I could read it, and it was so painful. And her attorney said, if you want custody of the 5 kids, you can't leave the house. And my attorney said, if you want custody of the 5 kids, you can't leave the house. So I'm living in the house with her, knowing that this is going on. I can't do ministry, so I'm delivering pizza for Pizza Hut. I'm working a temp job. I have to provide for my family, and I have to be the better man. I mean, I'm in pain. And I had to.
Does she
honestly,
know you yet?
Oh yeah, we're like going through the whole divorce cycle. She's got her law. She's lawyered up. I'm lawyered up, and I'm having to live this way, and I'm having to be a godly influence and leader for my kids. So perplexing. How do you do that?
This may be digging too deep. Did the kids? I mean, did the kids know? Because sometimes,
Yeah. So when I found out, I went. He happened to be at my house. We were having breakfast. I went home and kicked his ass, and my kids saw it and So yeah, they knew.
Okay, so backsliding stuff did happen. That's what I needed to know if that went. Yeah,
Yeah, he thought you were non-human. For a second
I thought
there.
you were doing the turn the other cheek seven times.
I
7
gotta ask
It's
you, why
not
is it that how come you couldn't leave? I don't understand legally why you couldn't leave the house, especially when you had the proof and also.
No, so just hopefully you'll never have to go through this. But if you leave the house, that the judge thinks that's
abandonment.
You're kind of giving up, right? You're giving up your stake in it, and any attorney is going to tell you stay with the kids, stay with the kids. If you want custody, you better stay with the kids. Her lawyer told her the same thing. It wasn't turn the other cheek.
Okay? No, I get that.
It was taking a searing iron to my emotions and to my heart.
Sure. Yeah.
I had to steel myself and say, it doesn't matter how I feel. I don't have time to grieve. I don't have time to feel bad for myself. I have to be the strong guy. I have to be the leader. I have to step up.
It's for the kids. I mean, literally. So
Yeah.
Man.
And
Second question doesn't even matter. You hit it in there. See, I almost feel bad for going back and asking it, but I could tell that we got to success really, really fast. And there are some people that fall into it, and it sounds really, really cool. And
Yeah,
there
the
are
Justin Bieber effect is not for
It doesn't happen for a lot of people. I did not expect us to see that.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming, given that you did not have that time to grieve, didn't have that time to heal, were you just running on autopilot into everything else?
I was running on clinging to my faith with every bit I had.
Okay.
And just leaving it with God.
Okay.
He was enough.
There we go.
And he gave me the strength to do what I had to do. And you know what? I was the best Pizza Hut delivery guy out there. I got an award for it because I'm like, thrive where God puts you. Don't think about yourself. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't be a victim.
Yeah.
100% responsibility for where you're at. Yep. You take responsibility. You thrive where God puts you. And God opened those doors, and I won custody of my kids. And like I mentioned before, I would go for a run, and I would be praying to God. And I'm like, there's a proverb that says, though he slay me, this is actually Job, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. And there's a proverb that says, the desires of the diligent are truly satisfied. And I would just pray it and talk to God while I'm running. And I'm like, I believe this. I'm going to be diligent. I'm going to do my part. And I know that you're going to come through when you decide to. But I had an old pastor friend used to tell me, God may be slow, but he's never late. He's always been right on the edge of late. And so that's kind of my... And before everything broke out and we had massive success and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to put this last part thing, and then church is going to close for a second.
Sure, no worries.
Is this the praying part?
Yeah.
Because you did it the way I do it, but a lot of people get it confused, especially if you're going through what you just went through. The praying is more begging for more people. It's like why God me, help me, show
cry.
Me this, blah, blah, blah. But you were affirming things, one, that God already said, and then you were just affirming it back to him, right? My word would never return to me void. And you were like, I know you have this, I'm going to do whatever I do.
Hanging on to his promises.
That's what faith is.
Yeah.
That's what, because we throw these words out there, I leaned on my faith. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? I let go and let God. What the heck does that mean? It's not trying on your own with the reassurance that he still has it. And we try to call God universe and all this kind of stuff, and there's some truths in a lot of this stuff, but the groundwork is still the same.
Well,
there's a part where you stop making it on your own,
yeah,
and then let the things happen the way he wants them to happen.
Paul says it. He will not put us in a situation where he gives us more than we can bear. He says it. And I'm like, he's not going to break me. He might push me to the very edge, but he's not going to break me because that's the kind of father he is. So anyway, that's how I got through that. And what's nuts is once we, Drive Planning really started getting momentum, I started making some really good money, made a lot of money for my clients. My kids were like, Dad, all you ever talk about is money. You must have left the faith. You don't care about God anymore.
No,
I'm like, dude, really? Come on, man. I'm like, dude, I'm all in. Like, this is my new calling. I'm a financial pastor, and my clients are my sheep, man. I'm like coaching them and showing them how to do things and rearranging their money. And my kids couldn't see it. And I'm like, I can't sweat it, man. I can't sweat the naysayers, even if they're my own kids. Like, this is my calling. I'm all in. Do it till I die.
Let's get to the naysayers.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to the meat.
The naysayers, not the opponents. The naysayers are usually ones that are closest to you, and a lot of times they're your family and their friends.
Sure.
Oh, don't set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you just the way you are.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to try so hard. Don't you have enough? And that stuff is like cancer.
Unless
man.
you're Tasha. When are you going to, about time you need to, you could do this. It's all love, though. This is all love. All right, so Johnny has heard me come proselytizing about this thing that I've got involved.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And so I was like, Johnny, I'm going to test it out first. I'm going to make sure it works.
I know where we're going now.
And I was like, but man, as soon as I know, you got to get in on this thing. So I was not so much a naysayer, only because I knew you by this point.
Yeah.
So by the time you introduced us to this drive planning, this is what we're going to introduce you guys to right now, information-wise. By the time you introduced that to us, I kind of knew you, had an idea who you are and your character. So I felt comfortable in at least seriously listening to what you had to say and seriously considering it, right?
Yeah.
The too good to be true thing, absolutely.
Yeah, but you
all
also,
day is what
it's not
like.
just the leverage of you trusted me and you liked me. It was also the leverage of Cliff Co. and Cliff Oxford, right? Hey,
And where you came from
This
and-
guy's coming
right.
from this group.
Well, this
That gives some credibility.
Can I give you honesty about that?
Yeah, sure.
Only because, and I've learned this, and that is because there will be some people who, because a certain person was around me all the time, is a good friend of mine, even though I might not have specifically referred that person, because we were so close, they assumed they would be. And there's times when that didn't happen.
That was always
right.
The connection's
So,
not always there. Okay.
So, and I did learn that, Cliff it's an amazing organization that we belong to, but he doesn't and can't vet every single person. Right. So I always kept that part balanced, but it really was you.
There might always be some rotten apples. in
Yeah,
there.
it was still your energy. You said, look, I don't care how clean you are. Look, I've done some shady things in my life before, and I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
I'll say that I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
I've done shady things before. We're human. It's not beyond us.
Yeah.
So I'm not a fool. But your energy, your vibe, your character, the walk matched the talk. And I was like, okay, at least he's worth taking a chance on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did the whole thing too. I was like, it's too good to be true, blah, blah, blah.
We had quite a few conversations.
We really did. I had some friends. I was like, look, can you take a look at this? You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, leave it alone. You got to be triple AA, triple duper, quadruple A plus, and I would run from it. And I got red flags. This is a siren. And I was like, oh man, what do I do? What do I do? Because we're coming into some money.
Yeah.
And we're like, it's hard to make money. It's even harder to keep it and grow it.
That's right.
So finally, we were just like, you know what? We prayed about it, and I didn't feel, outside of the alarm from outside people, I didn't feel an inner alarm except for ignorance, because I just didn't know.
Yeah.
So we decided on an amount that we said, you know what? We'll pick this significant amount, and we settled in our hearts that if we lose it, we'll be okay with it.
Yeah, you put in enough to make
a difference, but then
not to break you.
To break your life. So
Right.
that's what we did, and we gave it to David. And this drive planning.
Yeah, this drive planning. He didn't give it to me.
I didn't give it to you. That's a good point.
He gave it to the
I gave it to Drive
David
Planning.
Bradford Retirement Fund.
Yeah, David, COO of Drive Planning. So we gave it to him, and he sat down and I broke down how the whole thing works. Let's not forget, there was a huge educational part of this before we even got involved. So I do want to be clear about that.
And I slowed you guys down. I'm like, hey, before we put money anywhere, right? Let's do that financial GPS.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's look at where your money is. Let's look at where you're protected, and all of those things. Before we start growing, you got to protect.
And that's what I want you to do. I want you to kind of walk through steps a little bit of what you do to people, but I just want people to know that I did put my feet in. And I will say that at this point, I'm going to let Johnny interject before I finish my thought.
I'm gonna call a timeout.
Okay.
Because Johnny's not a part of Cliff Co. And Johnny just met David. David's awesome, I can tell.
Right.
Johnny has no idea what we're talking about.
I know.
So
You
can we
haven't
talk about
spilled the
what
beans.
it is
But
first?
No, we do. That's why I just want to do this and then get to what it is.
Okay, because I'm getting excited to
You
find
got
out
to trust
what
our flow.
it
Our flow
is.
works. It works. It works.
Okay.
I'm hoping everyone else listening to this is feeling like Johnny's. It's like,
Exactly.
what is it?
That's what I want to do. That's what I want to get
Just
to.
say it.
That's
It's
what
like
I want
when
to
your
get
wife starts telling you, "Oh, you won't believe what happened," and you're waiting for Like,
Yeah.
And that's
get to the.
it's
Can you tell
working.
me what happened, and then tell me how the conversation?
That's where
It's
I'm at,
working.
right?
You're
That's
like-
where I'm at.
So it's just-
And we're gonna land
that's
the
all
plane
I'm
win, right?
That's all it is.
All right,
I'm waiting for the plan.
So I forgot where I was. So
Good.
I mean, I remember where I
Plane landing.
was, but I mean,
you
the
got your
segue.
feet wet.
Yeah,
you
all right,
prayed
sorry.
about it. You made the
So
investment.
I jumped in and got my feet wet, and I am happy to say that everything has been exactly, almost to the letter and almost to the minute, right?
Yeah.
Of what it was promised. The return amount, when I got the return, and everything. And so we've done at least three fundings, 3 or 4
Yeah.
fundings, I think.
Yeah, 3
And
cycles.
3
Yeah,
cycles.
3
and so far
quarters.
it's worked. So now that you guys know what this beautiful thing called drive planning is, I'm gonna let David kind of walk you through what is drive planning.
Yeah.
You know, what are some of the steps you do with people when you give them financial advice, and then questions. I'm sure you probably have some questions too.
Of course. What is it?
Yeah. So rather than kind of be more abstract, we do comprehensive, creative financial strategies and blah blah blah. I'm just going to use a metaphor because we're in the South. I'm a go dogs kind of guy, but
I'm sorry.
do we all agree that the UGA, they have a good playbook? They have a winning
Yeah.
playbook. They have a winning playbook.
they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
University of Kentucky does not. You're like, do they even have a team? I mean, so anyway, but here's my point. Here's the reason I'm setting that up that
Okay.
way. It's the same game. One is a playbook that wins. One is a playbook that doesn't win so much.
Yep.
And what we have as Americans, we've been given a playbook from our parents, from the financial institutions, and we're not winning. We're going into another recession. People are losing money in Wall Street. Inflation's crazy. All I hear on the Today Show is Hoda and Jen talking about saving money on a freaking dozen eggs. I'm like, if you got a problem with a dozen eggs, you're in big
You're
trouble.
in big
right?
trouble, right?
We got an election coming up, which creates a lot of anxiety on every level. We got wars everywhere. I mean, everyone's scared, but they have the same damn playbook. And what I do, I do this on a regular basis. Here's the playbook. Cross your fingers, put your money in Wall Street, and stay in it until you're old. Until you're old and gray. And then you can take some of that money out and chip away at your little nest egg. Oh, by the way, thanks for your business partner, United States government, because that whole nest egg was built with them as your business partner. It's called a 401k, IRA. They're your business partner, and they get to tell you when it's time to get money out how much belongs to them, and then you get the rest. People forget about that. They tell me, oh, David, I got $3 million in my 401k. And I said, well, Johnny, how much is yours? Oh, what do you mean? Like, how much of that 401k is yours? It's all mine. I'm like, no. Oh, that's right. I'm in bed with the United States government, right? And they ain't going to stop their deficit
They always
spending.
stank up the sheets.
Yeah, stank up the sheets. So my point is, rich people have a different playbook. If you want to call it trick plays, you remember that trick plays that that the San Francisco did in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Still didn't win, but
It worked.
It was
though.
beautiful, though.
it was fun to watch.
It was beautiful.
But see, what's a trick play? It's not illegal.
No.
But it's, I didn't think about doing it that way.
Right. Right.
Rich people have had this playbook for decades. This is not new stuff. It's as old as it can be. But that's why they keep getting richer, and people with the old playbook keep not winning. Can I give you an example?
Please.
Yeah.
This is to me, I haven't been in this industry not even 10 years. I'm about 9.5 years in, but to me it sounds absurd. And here it is. You have a family, right?
I do.
All right, so Johnny, you're going on vacation. Where is it your wife been wanting to go? Fiji.
Fiji's a good one.
All right, let's say
do Fiji.
Hey baby, I'm taking you to Fiji.
Let's
I'm
do
gonna-
Bora Bora just so she can hear.
I'm
it
going
for
to
what it
do
is.
Bora Bora, baby.
That's it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Man, it's going to be great. And you know what? Here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to be very responsible when we get there, and I'm going to set a budget. And it's going to be 70% of what we typically spend during an ordinary week here in Atlanta.
Okay.
Sound like a vacation to you?
No.
She'd be like, that's boring.
Yeah.
That ain't Bora Bora.
Very good.
So when you go on vacation, you don't spend what you spend during the week. You spend more.
You absolutely.
But see, we're trained by the financial institutions. Put your money in Wall Street, cross your fingers, white knuckle it till you're old. Hopefully market's not down when you get out. Split your profits with the United States government. Give up 40 to 50% of that to them. and live on 70% of your current lifestyle
Right.
until you die. Hopefully your money doesn't run out.
Real question, interject here, and need a real answer.
Yeah.
Which I know I'll get from you.
Yeah.
All this stuff you're talking, right?
Yeah.
You have the person, you got your people that are paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
But then you got your people that are sub paycheck to paycheck, right? They're like, paycheck still wasn't enough. They're listening. Should they just turn this podcast off and be like, you know what? This isn't for me.
No, you got to start where you're at. I mean, that's where I was.
How do they start with it? And because the reason why I'm saying, because ever since I got with you and since we've kind of been doing what we're doing, I told Tosh the other day, I was like, it really does take money to make money. And I can't remember if it was you or someone that said, no, Stone, it takes money to make real money. And that hit me different because you can make money with money, but like you want to make real money? Yeah, that takes money. So for the person that, for real, like they have the week check, right? They got the food stamps. They got
more a month at the end of
at the end of check.
and-
Right. I mean, so how do we keep them watching and listening to you?
Yeah. So you got to start where you're at. And what I would say, the most important thing, I was writing an article about this morning. You have to start where you're at, and you have to own where you're at. Right. If you play victim, you're going to be a victim the rest of your life. Right. You're going to be blaming everyone else. It's the way I was raised. It's my neighborhood or
the man.
No one's the man. Whatever. You got to own where you're at, identify where you're at, and then say, where do I want to be? Now, there's like, David, that's so obvious, right? But then you have to find out people and say, all right, if this is where I want to be, who do I know that's already there? How did they get there? I'm going to follow their recipe. This is what Tony Robbins says, right? Success leaves clues.
Yep.
Yeah.
So look, you've got to own your place, and you have to re-educate yourself, because if you want to dig yourself out with the playbook of the broke, it's going to be really hard to do it, and it's not going to be fun.
Well, you just said something that sounds like it's going to be hard for a lot of people. Is that people are going to have to change their circle? Is what it sounds like.
That is the biggest hurdle. Okay, I got to talk to my girlfriends, and they're all going to be telling me all this and that, and let's go buy some Gucci, and let's go buy that. You see them at the airport, like they're dressed head to toe in Louis Vuitton, and you're like, man, I hope they're making some banging dollars, right? Right. But sometimes they're just fronting. I'm
going to ask this question because
that is such a destroyer. That circle of five,
yeah,
that is irrefutable law of success or failure.
so many people will hear, I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I remember 12 years ago, I wouldn't have understood what you just said, just because my financial literacy hadn't started to really pick up yet. I did something that was anti-playbook right around 2015 when I left a company that I was with for a little while. I cashed out my 401k. I took the penalties, took everything that was in it, and it was a decent amount of money. This was right before the crypto boom. And everything I had that was in the markets, I took 97% of it out, and all of it went into the crypto markets, which was the difference maker in me understanding, okay, there's another way to do this.
Okay.
Now, there was a lot of luck involved in that because after that,
it's called gambling.
It was. I was learning how that market worked as it was starting to maturate. And I caught that wave. I'm happy I caught the wave. I learned a lot in catching the wave, also got out in time before I lost everything I caught. But that opened my eyes to being able to see that there was difference. That's tangibility. I had a life experience that allowed me to see, okay, there is a different way to do this. I decided to go against it, but everything you just said makes sense to me. But what you said probably wouldn't have made a lot of sense to the person that hasn't had that life experience. Say, okay, there actually is another way. What's a catalyst to actually being able to hit that light switch to saying, okay, I'm telling you there's a different playbook, but I'm telling you now you have to do this in order.
Let's just talk about books.
Let's do it.
There's hardly any group in the United States that would deny this, that the way to get advanced, to advance yourself in success is through education. I mean, it's hammered, right?
And that doesn't always mean school.
No, I'm not talking about school.
Right.
Because you're not getting it in school. You got the wrong playbook.
Right.
Your circle of five, they got the broke playbook, right? So start with your financial education. Go on YouTube. It's free, okay? Like, what is it, like 1 billion? I don't know how many videos are on there. Listen to Robert Kiyosaki. Anything he says, listen to it. Grant Cardone, can't go wrong with that. He's a little edgy, but hard to go wrong with that. Jim Rohn. Oh my gosh.
Love Jim Rohn.
Jimrohn. He was the success coach for Tony Robbins, who is like a phenom. He's like the unicorn of unicorns.
And let us shout out Earn Your Leisure. We want to shout them out. Wall Street Trapper. We want to shout him out. These two guys, they have L.I.F.E on podcast. Like they're pretty amazing as well. But no, seriously, and these are things. But
There's Deeper Pockets podcast.
Deeper Pockets. So it's out there.
Learning about real estate. But listen, I mean, there are some books that are millionaire makers. Okay, Think and Grow Rich. It is a millionaire maker.
Yep. 7 Habits of
Highly Effective People.
Yep.
Absolutely. Those are millionaire makers. Those 2 books right there, great place to start. I would say one other book of the 2 is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Poor Dad, absolutely. That's like a 101 book. But let me just say this about this one guy.
There's so many shifts in your mindset from those books. You've got to change your mind before you change your money. Ooh, that's good.
There you go.
No, absolutely.
Dude, I like that.
Yeah, that would be a
change your mind before you change your money.
Yep. You have to.
That's a good T-shirt.
I'm printing T-shirts.
I want to shout out this one person because I give him grief sometimes. But I went on his YouTube channel and actually gave him a little bit of props. Like Dave Ramsey, right? A lot of people know Dave Ramsey.
Sure.
I think Dave is really good for the financially illiterate and when you don't have much money to play with, if any at all. I think he's really good for those people. He's all about mindset, but his whole focus on discipline is great. However, now that I am where we are too, I find Dave Ramsey doesn't fit.
It's a little remedial.
If you're trying to be...
Remedial's a great word.
Yeah.
What you were saying about what do you do with someone who's barely getting by? I put them on the Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right? Get off the credit card cocaine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? What does
Stop
Dave
buying
Ramsey
what
say?
you don't
know what
need.
Dave Ramsey says? He says the same thing Grant Cardone says. You need more income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, go deliver pizzas.
Yeah.
Get a second side gig. He says these things.
Yeah.
But he also talks about protection. He talks about getting life insurance, getting disability. He has the basic and the rudiments. My wife and I, Gabby and I, we had the envelopes. When we didn't have hardly any money, we're like, the envelope system, Dave Ramsey?
Yep.
I mean, put your money in the envelope. When there's no more money in it, you stop spending.
money.
Yeah, my brother did it, and literally got him out of debt and everything. Then when I found,
once you start
once you get to
making
that,
50 grand or
now
more-
you want to get to like the bag. Dave's not your guy. Right. Like and there's no shot on him, but he's that super
Well, no, he's
ultra
set
conservative.
Remedial is perfect. It's a perfect word. It's the training wheels where you can learn safely how to get ahead.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, and just survive.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when he starts talking about debt is the devil, consumer debt
Yeah, you're
is the
right.
devil.
There you go.
Student loan debt is the devil.
Yes.
But leveraging other people's money, that is how you make money.
Absolutely.
So
That's when we get into the Dave Bradford world.
Of course. I'm not a financial advisor by any stretch. I have not gotten certified in anything, but I get asked questions all the time because my friends and family want to know the little bit of stuff that I do know.
Yeah.
And the first question they always ask me about, how do I get into the stock market? And of course, everybody knows about Robinhood and Webull and those little things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing. I tell them, I said, it's great. If you aren't doing anything yet, jump into it because they've got a lot of literature that you can, and at least familiarize yourself with what's there and how the markets work and how they function. But you're not going to get a real feel for how it works until you start playing with real money. The thing that I always find, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the first question, is that I never know when to tell them it's time to get yourself off of the bottle and start drinking out of a real cup.
Yeah.
And it's different for everybody's situation. But there is a real dollar amount. I think Stone just said it. I mean,
the real
there is
dollar amount in my mind is $20,000.
There you go.
'Cause that's the minimum.
There you go.
Seriously. I'm like, that's the magic money.
Yeah.
$20,000 that you can spare.
That you can, when you get to
So
the point to where you
$20,000
have
above your living
expendable
expenses.
$20,000, then you can start changing.
Up your cash reserves, what Dave Ramsey calls the emergency fund.
Right.
Okay. So, if you're asking about Wall Street, I would say, when should I get into Wall Street? I would say run the other way.
Well, no. I was not asking about it. That was more so a setup because that's a question I get all the time.
But at this moment,
it's more so about
40% into a recession, you don't invest in a sinking boat.
Absolutely not.
It's going to come back.
Yeah.
It's going to come back.
Don't try to grab the knife either. I mean, at some
what do you
point,
feel
it'll
about
be
ETFs then? Like, especially one that has like 1,000 companies in it and it's spread wide open. Do you think that's a safe thing to be in, or?
Here's the thing: you can make money in crypto.
Absolutely.
You can make great money. You can make great money in forex trading. You can make great money in Wall Street. if you know what you're doing.
Right.
Facts.
But a lot of people, I mean, I've had my own kids. I'm going to put money in crypto. Do you even know how it works? Well, everyone's doing it. I'm like, okay, the 99% aren't getting ahead because they keep listening to what everyone's doing.
Right.
Oh,
If
music
you're going to
business.
study it
Music
and
business.
master it, look, if you're going to make your money in the music business, then master it, right?
Can you just
drive that thing into the ground, be the master of it, right?
Yes.
So look, I'm not saying Wall Street is stupid. I mean, Tony Robbins wrote a book this big saying everyone should, follow the index and all that stuff. So I'm not against that idea. At this moment in history where Wall Street's going down, it's ridiculously volatile. Wealthy people aren't jumping in the stock market at this time. You want to know how wealthy people build wealth? Almost all of them. I'm in a multimillionaire mastermind group called Go Abundance. You have to be a millionaire to be a part of it. And all they ever talk about is guess. What asset
Money.
class?
Oh,
Real estate.
Real estate.
real
Yeah.
estate. Oh,
Real estate. Okay. I mean, go figure that out.
Now, do they care which one? Is it commercial? Is it residential? Or are they just
It
talking
doesn't
about it as a
matter.
general?
I mean, it's
Okay.
some kind of real estate.
Own some
Now
land.
you just
Gotcha.
said something that threw me a little bit because you always hear the buy low, sell high, and you said when the stock market's going down, you don't see rich people jumping into it.
Yeah.
But that kind of sounds like the antithesis of buy low, sell high, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying about don't try to catch a knife. You can't catch a fall. I mean, when it's falling, it's going to bottom
I see
out
what
I
you're
like
saying.
that. I like that phrase. Don't
Yeah.
catch a knife.
You
I like
cannot.
that.
I mean,
It's
you just
clever.
can't do it.
The people who try to time it are always losing.
They always
Yeah,
lose.
oh, right,
They
right.
always
Yeah.
lose.
But again, they think they're so clever. Look, we have 401ks, and I've sat down with very educated, wealthy people, and I've sat down with people who are just starting to get ahead. They don't know what their 401k is in. Oh, it's an ETF. Oh, it's a mutual fund. Well, what's it invested in?
Oh no.
right.
This is their future. And they haven't studied enough to even know what they're hanging their future on. That's ludicrous. That is insane. That is insanity. I don't say you're a dumbass, you're not going to be my client. I'm like, this is what I'm used to, right? No one understands this.
Well, I mean, it's insanity for the person who's putting money into it. It's absolutely
But what
brilliant.
is the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, and expecting different
I
results.
was gonna say their ignorance is brilliant for those who
For
know.
those who
And
are- yeah.
and what you, dude, everything you're saying, I say to people in music. When I just had someone talk to who I truly believed in this person, and they was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna finish this album. I'm gonna drop it this summer." I was like, "Oh, awesome!" I was like, "What's the release plan?" Crickets. I was like, "What's the release strategy?"
There's no
Well, that's
strategy.
something that I do want to get into. I knew I need to be better at social media. I can't stand it. Oh, wait, you mean you don't do social media now? Like, I just don't understand. But I told someone the other day, an intern I was talking with, I said, listen, my heart is to see people, just like your heart's to see people win in
Yeah.
life and in finances.
Yeah.
That way. My heart's to see people win in music business. It really is. To
Yeah.
the point, to a fault where my friend Chris and my wife, they had to make me charge people. Because I refuse to, this guy too, I refuse to charge people, which I
Yeah.
need to start doing. But my whole thing is, I'm getting up to the attitude now where, like, look, if you want to stay ignorant, I will by all means become wealthy off of your ignorance. Because you want me to do the Googling,
Yeah, but you're not.
and then
You're not
pay
saying
me.
that you're preying on them.
No.
You're just saying, hey, this is what you need to do. And if you know what what did Jesus say? Don't cast your pearls before
Before swine.
If they ain't gonna listen,
Here's proof
stop
that I'm
throwing
not.
it out.
Here's
Stop
proof I'm
throwing
not
it out.
preying on people. I'm doing this motherfucking podcast right now. Who pays us for this, Johnny?
This is a zero payment.
Right, we're still
This is
working to get
Saturday
sponsors.
morning at
You're getting this
8:15.
kind of wisdom. Go through all kinds of music business stuff.
Yeah.
My music business coach. Go on your NBC. You could take what's on there and be in the music business for 3 years without doing anything. So if you think I'm praying, then you have an
No,
issue for yourself.
no.
But it's the people that will watch that,
Yeah.
that will listen to you, listen to us, still don't do it, and then want to pay me to tell them again. I will take your money.
Yeah.
And I mean, can we just be raw about the business side
I've
of
got
things?
clients. I've got clients who start with me, and then I don't hear from them again. And I'm like, I mean, I have a one-time fee, and I tell them, I'm like, you're going to pay me once. It's the only time I'll ever ask you to pay me for anything.
Right.
And we have investments and all this other stuff they put their money in. They don't pay me. I'm like, you're never going to pay me. And I'm going to meet with you year after year, quarter after quarter, and we're going to adjust this as you make money and so forth. We're going to adjust and keep growing your money to make sure we get to where you're trying to go. And sometimes, it's every quarter I hear from them, right? That's these guys. Are you sure it's not a scam? No, just kidding.
Real story. Can we tell them a real story? So
Come back to that.
Come back to it, okay.
But it's, and some of them, it's like we get things going and get things in place, and I don't hear from them again.
Yeah.
I can't chase the sheep, man.
There you go.
Right.
You know, I'm building a business. I'm building a company. I got people to train.
Can't
I got
want it
a
as bad as you.
Got a wife to love. I got, I've got to have a life, right? You can lead a horse to water, right?
Exactly.
And people like us, where we truly want people to get it, like we're not happy about it. You know what I mean? It's not like we're like, yay, they paid us and ran.
It hurts me.
Yeah,
when
please
I see
understand
people
that. Yeah.
who aren't willing to own their life,
Take accountability.
and say, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to work my tail off. Was it ET, right?
Yeah.
Sleep 3 hours.
Oh, ET. Okay.
Arnold
Eric Thomas, come on.
Arnold
I was thinking the
Schwarzenegger, you know
movie.
what he would say? They're like, well, how are we supposed to sleep? He goes, sleep faster.
Yeah.
Sleep faster.
A quick story I had to interject. So he, not to tell your business, you bought some more property, okay, in another state and stuff. So we were on a call, and you know Tosh, right? Tosh has a very big I can't get got thing. It's something she's working through, but she has a big fear that she's getting over the whole I can't get got.
Okay.
So we're on the call with David, and David's telling us about his new place he's getting, da-da-da-da. And Tosh is like, well, how are you buying that place? Are you using our money to buy that place? I don't know if she said that on the call or not, but when we hung up,
so
she was
you
like,
heard this.
he's using our money to buy. I was like,
It's
Like,
so
this is the
funny.
first time you're hearing this, David? No, you heard this.
It's
well,
funny.
he knows the sentiment.
The-
He's
the whole
familiar with the
Saint-
sentiment,
it's
but he's
funny.
never heard that part.
To go back to that, I bought a condo in St. Petersburg,
Okay.
and I didn't use my client's money. I used my money, but what I really did is I used the government, the Georgia state income tax people. I used their money.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because the money I would be sending them, I'm putting it into a condo building wealth for myself. Because if I'm a resident of Florida, then I don't have to
have to pay
pay
taxes.
income tax in Georgia. 6% of a lot of money is a lot of
is
money.
why my tag still says Florida. People always ask me why I haven't become a Georgia resident. I will never become a Georgia resident.
But the point on that story, there is a point
Yeah.
to it, and that is because even though I'm working with you now and I'm comfortable, we still had a window of like fear, if you will. But a lot of it comes from ignorance because we're still learning this space that we're in right now. And so, which is why the educational part is so important. I feel better. I'm on YouTube all the time. You know what I mean? Didn't I ask you? No, you told me about it, but I came back and learned about the whole charitable LLC thing. And I was able to kind of talk about it a little bit. Why?
massive,
As soon
dude.
as he said it, I was like, what is that?
Can we jump on that? Because I know one of the
Let's
things
hop
that
on
you
it.
asked me about was when an entertainer makes it big, they get a big.
Please talk about that. Yeah, so they sign these deals, or even they're making all this money
So
in music.
let's
What
talk
should they be
about
doing?
entertainer. You know, some of the most popular entertainers are athletes.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm going to put them all in one category.
Okay.
Because now, what I'd like to do is not talk about I'm going to make it big with one paycheck. I mean, they're going to make it big for 3, 4, 5 years. Okay. The problem when an entertainer makes it big is that money they have no deductions.
Right.
Right? They can't deduct their Cadillac, maybe a little bit of it, but they don't have equipment. They don't have a studio and employees to they are W-2 and they're getting screwed by the IRS. Half of their income's going bye-bye, right? And so this charitable LLC, not a charitable remainder trust, it's not a trust, it's not a
Wait, hold on one more time.
not a trust, it's not a trust
fund.
It's not a trust. I'm just
You just want me to say
Oh,
it's not
okay.
a trust?
saying,
I was
it's
like,
not a
I was
trust.
about to be like, I don't know.
Every time I talk to people, they keep calling it a trust. I'm like, it ain't a trust.
not a trust.
Not a trust.
It's been around for 30 years. Zuckerberg uses it. Elon Musk uses it.
I got to apologize for my level of ignorance because I was just so stuck on, wait a minute, I know this. I do know this. And that was scaring me for a second. So that was literally just a repetition thing to
yeah,
make
that
sure
was-
that we
yeah.
understand this. Okay.
Yeah, a
'cause
charitable
every time I
LLC
talk to
is
people
not a trust.
who are familiar with financial
I
stuff,
just
oh,
felt
it's a
my
trust.
son's
I'm like,
I just
it's
felt my
an
son's frustration.
LLC.
My son's frustration with I make him do everything 3 times. So if I say something to him, I repeat, and he gets upset on the second time, and you just did it to me. And now I know his frustration.
Gotcha,
Emotional
man.
quotient just
You
went
did.
up.
That's
Michael David got me for you.
You got me. You got me.
It's not a trust. It's absolutely not.
But here, I'll make it very simple.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you what it does, and we're not going to go into the
Right,
engineering,
right.
okay? What it does for an entertainer who has a big paycheck, a big payday, once a year. All right,
Okay.
that could be a pro athlete, that can be an entertainer, whatever. Big paycheck. We put some of that money, let's say about half of it, into this plan. It will cut their income tax in half. every year, guaranteed. It's not it might, it could. It'll cut their income tax in half every year. Now, and what's really cool about it is when you put your money in there, you have 100% access and control of that money. You can take it out and buy another Cadillac. You can take it out and buy a jet. You can take it out and go to Vegas.
So still
you can
liquid.
take it out and invest it, which is a good idea.
Right.
In
What's
fact, if
the
you
resting
invest-
rate for it? How long does it have to sit there, or does it have to just go in and it can immediately be drawn back up?
Immediate access.
There we go.
And what's really cool is this is great for if you're an entertainer and you're young, please listen to this, okay? This LLC, if you put your money in this, it's safer than a bank. It is IRS proof. It is lawsuit proof, and it is divorce proof, and it's baby mama drama proof.
You were looking for the thing on how to get people to keep listening. We should have had him say "baby mama proof" at the beginning of this episode. Nobody turns it off.
Maybe that'll
at
be
that point.
my thing.
There
How to
was
baby mama
I
proof your money.
went out with a very famous retired Laker. Not going to say who it was. Called me up. Hey, let's get dinner. Can you pick me up? I'm like, that's kind of weird. But I'm like, sure. I go to an Airbnb, and I'm like, this is sketchy, man. Like, was it really him on the phone? Right? He comes out. I had to buy him dinner. I had to buy him drinks, and I'm like, dude, what's going on, man? He goes, all my money's tied up. It's been frozen by the judge because I've got these paternity suits. But see, if you put your money in the right place, you're not going to have it in a place. It's protected from the IRS. Ask OJ. He had a lot of his wealth protected, and you know, whether he did it or not, he still kept a lot of millions of dollars because he had it in the right place. You got to have it in the right place. Another really cool thing, Johnny, is any money that grows in that LLC, any tax that's due on it, it's 99% eliminated.
Why and how?
All right, now you're asking me the engineering.
Yeah,
I'm not
and
gonna
I
go-
know you're not
I'm
gonna go to the
And I'm
engineering.
glad you used that word engineering because in my
We're not going
studying
to
and
pick up
learning,
the hood and show you how the engine works in this.
yeah,
Okay,
in
so
my
a little bit
studying
more
because I
technical.
found that not a lot of people know how to set it up correctly.
Right.
And if it isn't set up correctly, we're talking like the third level of hell.
Yep. So
Yeah, it's IRS audits. And let me be very clear. This has been around for 30 years. The wealthiest of the wealthy have used this. But the reason a lot of people aren't familiar with it is the people who were setting it up were charging astronomical rates to set it up. That's why ordinary people making millions, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, that's ordinary, believe it or not. Their accountants, their advisors, they don't even know about
They don't
this.
even know about it.
And they're like, how can I not know
What was
about
that guy
this?
that the IRS got on him because he abused it?
Yeah. There's a guy named Michael Myers.
Michael Myers, that's right.
It's a funny name,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But honestly, cool story. I love talking about the what is it? The black sheep of the family. Is he set this up? But he set it up. He was the charitable appraiser. He was the attorney. He was the charitable person. That there was the charitable element. He was in charge of that. He was literally playing the role in all levels, which is no bueno.
Yeah.
And so here's what happened. He got fined about $300,000, lost his license, but guess what? All the
money.
LLCs that were set up, they were upheld.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the Corvette, it was the driver.
Right.
Right.
The reason why I asked the question the way I knew you were going to say that because before you even got into it, you said I'm not going to get into the engineering.
Yeah.
The reason why I did that is because that's what happens. I wanted everybody to see it, but then I'm going to ask you the other question. A lot of the reasons why people don't get to that next level is because they hear that kind of stuff. They'll ask the questions and then they'll get turned, hey, well, I can't tell you that right now. And that's what creates the feeling of sketchy.
No, that's fine. I understand that. But this is a podcast for people to hear and want to know more.
The next question is, tell them where they can go to find it.
Yeah. You can go to morewithdavid.com.
There we go.
Reach out to me via text. Get on my calendar. My cell phone number's on there. Go to driveplanning.com. You can find me on there. You can reach out to these guys. My cell phone number's all over the place.
That's probably dangerous.
And just say, hey, I heard you on a podcast. Can we talk?
Yep.
My assistant will set up a 12-minute phone call. And we'll just kind of take you one step at a time.
And it didn't seem like it, but all of that was on purpose because I know when people hear those kind of things, the immediate reaction, that's where the skepticism comes from.
Yeah.
And so they feel like it's all witchcraft and wizardry. But when you know that there's an actual tangible place to get the information, you just got to be willing to seek it out at that point. So I don't want people to gloss over the fact that, hey, he said he's not going to give me the information here. I want you to know that you can actually get to him and get it.
What is Drive Planning, that's the product, right?
So the alternative to crossing your fingers and putting your money in the stock market or crypto or anything speculative. Again, I've already made it clear. There's nothing wrong with those.
If you know what you're doing.
If you're going to study it and invest in what you know, then that's fine. But a lot of us are just working, right? And I've told Stone, I'm like, I just want you to do your music thing. Okay, I don't want you to get all work. I'm going to study Wall Street and Forex trade. I'm going to do what you're good at, and let me show you how your money can grow for you.
Can I balance that real quick?
Yeah,
because I'm always preaching something.
Yeah,
it's one thing to hire an expert to do what I can't do.
Yeah,
but I still educate myself enough so that I know what the heck he's doing.
And I educate you.
Yeah, absolutely. So and I'm
like,
saying
here's
that
how it
especially
works,
people
here's
in
what
music.
it does.
You know, your manager has your job, the publisher has
you
your
better
job,
know what
the
your
label has
manager
your job.
knows.
But know what their job is, so at least you can speak
if
the
they
language.
rob you blind, that's on you, bro.
It's on you. So I just wanted to balance that.
No, that's a good point. So, where were we going here?
So I shouldn't have to focus on music. So we're about to talk about the real and
rather than gambling, which is what you did, but it worked out fine.
Of course.
So, but a lot of people, it didn't work out.
Let me balance something.
Well, I assume it worked out okay.
It did. It worked out fine. Now, prior to getting into crypto, I've been dabbling in tech stuff. I had been in the stock market for years prior. My dad got me into the stock market when I was still in high school. So trading was something that I had experience in.
Okay.
Reading charts and patterns
that's
something I have experience in. So all I did was move that skill into this new speculative space.
So you already had the education.
I knew stuff.
You had a skill set.
Yeah, I didn't just go take $100,000 and throw it into crypto and do that.
That was good that you.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. But see, if you watch the movie Dumb Money, you have these people who are almost broke, putting $3,000, $5,000 into Robinhood,
right?
And on a hunch,
right?
I like this guy. That is insane.
Right? Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, what we teach is contractual wealth. Contractual wealth. That means that you have recourse. That means you know what you're going to get at the end of the term. It's contractual. It's promised. Might as well call it guaranteed. Okay. And it's based on real estate, typically. And a lot of times, if it's done right, I feel like we do it right, it's backed up by real estate. So there's collateral backing it up, which makes it incredibly safe. Real estate is a hard asset, okay? A stock can go to zero.
Yes, it can.
A piece of Wall Street just doesn't go to zero unless it's Chernobyl.
Piece of real estate.
Unless it's Chernobyl.
You just
right. No one's buying Chernobyl
Nobody's
anytime in
buying
our
Chernobyl,
lifetime.
ever.
But apart from that, so here's what we've done. We started 2 funds. We have a tax lien fund.
Okay.
I'll be very brief on how a tax lien works, just for everyone. You don't pay your property tax in Georgia. The county puts a lien on your house. It's different from the HOA lien. It's different from a mortgage lien. The city puts a lien on your house. You continue to ignore it. They want the money, so they auction off that lien on the courtyard steps. Maybe you've heard people say, I bought it on the courtyard steps. It literally happens this way. Yep. Let's say your house is worth $300.
Online sometimes, not too.
I buy it for $60. I buy the lien for $60 in the state of Georgia. In a year, if you haven't redeemed it from me, I can foreclose on your house. I just bought his house for $60,000, and now I own a house outright that's worth $300. That's how tax liens work. Okay.
I just learned that just now. I was today years old.
Really?
Okay.
Yep.
There you go.
Today years old. That's a cool phrase. I've never heard that. Anyway,
so you're telling me your money is doing this and you don't know what it's doing?
Well, the tax lien. I'm not in the tax lien.
We haven't got to the tax lien with him yet. What that does, you put your money in. It's a $25,000 minimum. You put your money in. You can put your money in for a year.
Okay.
That's 14%. You get 14% in the year. Say thank you very much, or you can say, put me back in it. Okay. There's a 3-year. Where your principal's tied up for 3 years, but it's paying you 22% a year. Not a bad return for real estate.
Yep.
If you need the income, that 3-year can pay you out every 6 months. So it's 10% every 6 months. So you're not making 22, but you're making 20.
Yep.
Not a bad return.
No.
And that's contractual, and that's a guaranteed return, and it's backed. your money's literally buying real estate, so it's backed by real estate. It's not fuzzy wuzzy.
Yeah. One thing I think you left out of the reason why it's guaranteed, and I know a little bit of the tax lien, I bought a couple myself, is that it doesn't matter what happens. If you buy the tax liens, the money is guaranteed. You either pay it back or you own the property.
Yeah. So it's backed by a real asset.
It's 100%.
It is backed by real estate.
Yes. So that's the little detail that people say, well, how do I get money off of it if they sell it and they get it to
So you
somebody
said
else?
that in an example.
I might have missed that part.
Yeah,
Okay.
what we do is we sell it to a flipper, rinse and repeat,
There you go.
move that money fast. The other one, the one that Stone and Tasha are a part of, and it's on fire, is it's called the Real Opportunity Real Estate Acceleration Loan. The L, the loan, is he is a lender. Okay, so he puts money as a lender. He's a lender. He puts money into this program, and he gets a promissory note contract, right?
Yep.
You wire the money in, you get the contract saying, here's your 90-day timetable. At the end of 90 days, he can take all of his money and say, thank you very much. He can take some of it out.
10% return.
He can add to it, but it gives him 10% every 90 days. Now, some people use it for income.
Yep.
Right? They take their 10%. Thank you very much. Let's do it again. Some people are like, I just want my money to grow long term. So they just let it grow. And that compounds, Johnny.
Yeah.
If you let that money compound, that's a little bit better than 46% a year, which is not bad for real estate.
Right. No,
I mean, I've got some rentals and Airbnbs that do better than 46, but there's some involvement I have to do in that.
Yeah.
This is a 100% passive real estate base. And what's really great about the Real Opportunity, you're liquid every 90 days, in and out 90 days. Okay. But we have right now over $140 million in real estate owned outright and cash backing up our promise to make sure that we can pay that out. Very safe.
that is.
And this is the rule of the wealthy playbook that I've learned in the past like 2 or 3 years. And that we all want the mailbox money, sleep money, passive money. I've always heard that, always wanted it. But I always thought of it as my money's making me money so I can go use that money.
So
but that use that money was spending it. You know what I mean? Not to use that money to live, right? Use the passive money to either make more investments or to pay my car note or to pay my or the passive money,
you let the babies that your principal make pay your debts.
Right.
So I tell people this a lot, Johnny, when they're like, I've got a lot of credit card debt. Let's say it's 30 grand, and they get a big chunk of money. Let's say it's 100 grand. The Dave Ramsey approach is drop your 30 grand, do a dance, you're debt free.
Right.
That's not a terrible strategy. Consumer debt is a cancer. It really is. However, wealthy people don't do it that way, because when you put that 30 grand and you pay that off, that 30 grand will never be in your life ever again. And so there's an opportunity cost. That 30 grand will never make you, in this example, 10% every 90 days.
Right.
So what you do is you take your 100 grand, you turn off Dave Ramsey so he's not yelling in your ear. You put your 100 grand in Real or in Core. And whenever it's time for it to generate that profit, that 10% every 6 months, or in the Core or in the Real, 10% every 90 days, you take the 10% and you start chopping off that debt. It might take you a little bit longer, but guess what happens? You end up being debt free, but you haven't lost your principal.
Right. Real life
example. You haven't
example.
lost your principal.
Real life example.
Wealthy people don't throw their money at debt. They let their assets pay off their liabilities.
Yeah, totally repeating what you said, but I'm gonna give a real life example.
Okay.
So I do massage therapy right now, unlicensed, right? It's because it started as friends and family, and it's still friends and family. I have maybe 2 or 3 clients who I know them through massaging, right?
Okay.
But I am at the point where I like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get licensed. Let me go ahead and go to school, get licensed. I'm actually going to buy a home, and I'm going to do a special little spa thing. This whole business idea. But to get licensed in Georgia, the tuition is anywhere between $9,000 and $12,000, which to me, just to get a massage thing for $12,000, like that's expensive.
I didn't know you can get a degree to do anything for that little.
Yeah, right. So
I was like 90,000. I don't know.
So with the deal Tasha and I are closing now, what I plan to do is I'm going to take that. I'm going to figure out, all right, what will be my monthly payment on a student loan? I'm going to then take that amount, put the amount that I need in Real, so that every every quarter, that 10% is what I need to pay my student loan. So that's the real life example of what we're talking about, of how I'm using this.
Have we done the? I talked to you all about the free money thing. Did we try to get that?
I remember, but I couldn't repeat it back to you.
No, you're gonna love this.
Hit me.
All right. So you understand the real.
Yes.
Okay. If I called you up and said, "Hey, what if I could get you an extra $80,000 to $130,000 for free for the real?" What would you say?
Talk to me.
Cray cray.
Yeah. No, I would say talk to me. I want to hear it first before I
Right,
call you
guys,
crazy.
Sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
What's you talking
I'd be
about?
like, that's knocking butts.
Yeah. No. No. Tell me. Well, so and the reason why that's me because
Yeah.
I know that there's so much accessible money that's just out there that we can't
That's
access.
right. But see, this is a trick play of the rich.
Mm-hmm.
They take other people's money,
OPM.
and maybe the other people's money are going to charge them 13%. 13%? What, are you crazy? I would never pay 13%. Okay, I understand. Relax. If I will pay 13% all day long, you give me as much money as you can, I'm going to make 46 over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so what we do is we have a bank that for good credit, good risk categories, not people who are, bad debt to income, crappy credit and stuff. But if you got good credit score, that credit score can get you free money. And so what we do is, let's say they give you $100,000. I'm going to make the numbers very simple. Don't do the math because it doesn't work this way. Let's say the monthly payment.
Numbers do lie, people.
Let's
That's what
say
he's
it's
saying.
16%. It's at 16% interest. 16%? I'd never pay 16%. It's free money.
Yeah.
It don't matter. So 46 minus 16 is
30.
you're going to make 30% on someone else's money. So now
Right.
watch this. You take your $100,000, they send it to you. It drops in your bank account. The monthly payment's $1,000 a month. It's not, but easy math here. So I'm going to take the first 3 months payment from their money. I'm just going to leave it in my bank.
And let it auto.
I'm going to take the 97 and put it in the real.
Right.
Okay. So every 90 days, guess what I'm going to take out?
The 10%. So you get
No,
97.
no,
Just the payment?
Just the three.
Okay.
Because I'm never going to interrupt that 46%.
Gotcha.
I'm only going to take out what I need.
There you go. Okay.
That way,
I'm basing it off of the 10% generated per
right.
month.
But see,
My bad.
people thinking, right, I'm going to
Yeah.
take the 10%. No, you're going to take what you need, which is $3,000 for the next 3 months.
Right.
It costs you no money to do this. At the end of a year, you just made 30% on $100,000. Well, $97,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I ask people. Okay, 30%, let's say it's $100,000. 30% on $100,000 is $30,000.
30,000.
How long would you and your wife have to work to save an extra $30,000?
Traditionally.
But what you just did is you took free money, and that free money made you $30,000.
Right.
And you just rinse and repeat year after year after year.
Now, my immediate question is this repeatable multiple times with multiple institutions so that you can pull that $100,000 from two? Yeah, okay.
Get as much of that as you can.
That's all Johnny need to know.
Get as much of that as you can.
It's a different
OPM.
playbook, people. It's a different
the
playbook.
It's the playbook that wins.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Now, obviously, you're going to have
This is where the rainbow goes across the screen. The more you know.
a lot of people are going to have their reservations of just because they don't know this exists. How do you do any hand holding?
Yeah.
To help the emotional
obviously
aspect of it.
Stone is here, so obviously I do handle
Absolutely.
it. Right?
Sure.
It goes without saying.
No, that absolutely goes without saying. No,
Hey, I will be the first. Hold my hand.
So they're like, hey, can we talk again? I'm like, it's either gonna be Stone or Tasha, making me reassure them that they're doing the right
But
thing.
Stone is way less emotional with his joint, though. I'm like, Dave, help
it's-
me understand.
But
Tasha's
you're
like,
not-
what are you doing? I don't
You're
like
not
this.
the first. You're not the first people. It's okay. You got to.
I'm not bashing her.
You got to
There's a
calm the
balance.
sheep. You got.
Yeah.
That's where you got to shepherd the sheep. So, but here's one thing I want everyone to hear: what's keeping you from becoming rich is not. It's not what you don't know. Most people are like, if I just knew what I didn't know, then I could get ahead. If I just knew what the trick plays of the rich were, then I could get ahead. That is what, in my experience, that is not the main thing that's keeping you from getting ahead.
What is it?
The main thing that's keeping you from getting ahead is what you know to be true about money that's not true. Damn, son. That's right.
Yeah, I had to repeat it in my head real quick. Yeah, right. Like bars.
So what if some of the things you knew about owning a house and mortgages
Is wrong.
turned out to be not true? How soon would you want to know?
Before I bought the last one.
What if some of the things you knew to be true about building your retirement and EFTs turned out to be not true? How soon would you want to know?
Before you.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question then?
Yeah.
Is it so that information is it that information is not true, or it's not the best information available?
It's not true.
It's not true.
But it's sold to the masses as true in order to perpetuate that. Because, I mean, you still need people in 401ks because how are people going to get their fees for managing them?
Yeah.
So that's
I mean,
why the
there's so
propaganda
many
is still there.
Wait a minute. Hold on. There's fees in a 401k?
No.
Most people don't even
know that. Yeah.
If you say, what are the fees that your 401k is taking out of your money? Oh, we don't have fees.
Right.
And Fidelity works for free for our company.
Yeah, right. And that 2%, it compounds. So it's not just a 2% on it. It's a 2% every time anything happens.
Yeah.
And I've seen people come to me and say, how did this happen? Like, how did I lose $14,000? And I said, how many moves did you make? How many different changes? And every time you did that, that was a fee, and that they don't even catch it.
But see here, that's just I am too lazy to go down that path.
I hear you.
Right. I don't want to learn forex trading. I don't want to learn stock trading. I don't want to leave puts and calls. If I want to get in Wall Street, I'll find someone who knows how to do it, and I'll pay them to do it. Right. But I want to put my money in a place where it's just going to cook and give me checks, where it doesn't require a lot of work from me, where I can go to Cabo or I can go to Bora Bora, and my money's cooking, my money's cranking out money, passive income, baby. That is what I want. That's what the rich have.
Right.
Yeah. And again, even those listening, especially even those that are doing well, and you've been in the market, it's hard to swallow this because it sounds too easy and too good to be true. And I get it. I was that guy.
I got one more thing to say
guy,
about too good to be true.
but-
I got one more thing to say. I'm just going to ask this.
Yeah.
Black folk watch HGTV?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I enter the Dream Home thing every year.
Yeah. All right. I don't watch it. I catch it when I'm getting my manicure and pedicure. I'm like, most of them seem like a bunch of white folks to me. But anyway, my point is, watch HGTV, okay? And ask yourself, is this too good to be true? Why is it that those programs are on there all the time? What you see on those programs is people making mad bank in real estate. So when they're like, oh, it sounds too good to be true, I'm like, it sounds too good to be true if you're in a 401k in Wall Street. It doesn't. Turn on HGTV, do the math, and find out what they just made on that flip.
Right.
Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
This is great. One of my first clients, he and his business partner, they bought a house in Savannah out toward the lake, and they were going to Airbnb it. Anyway, so they bought it, got a good price for it, a lot of equity when they bought it. It just happened to be a good deal. They happened to get a really good deal. They furnished it. They put it on Airbnb. HOA said that's fine. They started cranking in money. Airbnbs are like cash cows, man. They just, if you know what you're doing,
You know what
they do
you're
really
doing,
well.
right. That's
If you know what you're doing, we've already said that, right?
Right.
Forex, Wall Street,
Crypto, all of that stuff.
You got to know what you're doing. They started making money 3 months in. Guess what? HOA decided
Not okay anymore.
we don't like you doing that anymore.
Yeah.
They shut them down, and they were like, "This is their first real estate deal, Johnny." They had to sell.
Wow.
You know what their rate of return was when they sold? Over 90% in 4 months.
Wow.
Now, here's my question: would you give them money for their next deal?
Yeah.
Sure.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes,
It was their
I
first-
would not.
It was their first
Darn it.
deal.
No, I wouldn't do
Yes,
that.
I would.
It was their first deal, right?
So I'm looking at it like
they
this.
got lucky.
Well, no, I'm looking at it like this. They learned the lesson of not doing it in the area of an HOA. They can control what you're actually doing.
But see,
There's an
their
educational process
advisor, their
that came out.
financial advisor said, "Is there an HOA?" They said yes. I said, "Don't do it."
So that's okay.
I reminded them, but you know what? The point of the conversation is this.
There we go.
I always ask that question: would you lend them money on the next deal? Most people say yes. I'm like, no, you wouldn't. That was their first deal. But now watch this. What if they did and had that kind of return or close to it for 12 years?
All right.
Would you put your money and say, "Hey, can I put some of my money in one of your deals?" You would say,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes. These are novices. This is their first deal. They made 90-something% in 4 or 5 months. That's not too good to be true. It happens all the time
always
in
happens.
real estate.
Yeah.
So you just have to understand it's not too good to be true. Turn and watch HGTV on, get out your calculator. It happens all the time. That's why rich people love real estate.
There's also an example that a lot of people miss just in their local neighborhood. My wife always asks me, why are they building new condos? Why are they building more apartments? And if you don't pay attention to the fact that they continue to do it, you don't understand why. If they weren't making money off of it, they wouldn't be throwing them up everywhere down Peachtree.
Well, the real why is there's an influx, there's a herd mentality. People are coming to the Southeast.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that up because most of our collateral that backs up the real, it's in the Southeast because the need for housing here is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Man, look, we could be here probably for an entire week.
Yes.
I am going to think of some deeper questions on another episode as far as like, what your social security number really means with the government and all that stuff. So I'll save all that for another time.
Why your name's capital letters on your social security card? All that good
Right,
stuff?
all that kind of good stuff.
Cool.
But working. So let me tell you something about David. He's as accessible and nice and coach. He's all of that. But do not waste his time. The moment he smells that you're not committed and you're not into this thing, it's not that he'll ignore you, but it is kind of like on to the next. So if you truly feel like what you've heard is just great and you're like, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want to get to it. One, find out if you're on the Dave Ramsey level or on the David Bradford level. Make that decision first. But, reach out to him. Send him an email. Hit him on, you have social media?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and share the best ways people can reach out to you, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Just David J. Bradford on Instagram. Look up More with David on Facebook, LinkedIn. I think it's David J. Bradford. But the easiest way to find me is More with David.
More with David.
Morewithdavid.com.
Yeah. Yeah. Ask the questions, people. Ask the questions, and then, we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
LifeOnPodcast.com. Y'all know what it is. Everything that you need from visuals to YouTube to listening on Spotify, whatever it is you want. LifeOnPodcast.com. If you want to see what's in my little zany little world, I'm cleaning up my feed now. I'm taking myself a little more seriously, trying to protect my brand. You can always go to Stone007. That's letter 07 on Instagram. Or if you want to be lazy, just go to StoneStafford.com. And you can find everything there.
Easy enough.
That's it. Just Johnny Von, JUSTJONYVAN on all of your everythings.
Yeah, man, I thank you again.
This is great.
Billion more questions I could go, but
I love this.
We all got to go somewhere right now.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
I just got to go.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys.
bathroom.
Thanks always. Just like, share, subscribe. Help us get that million. You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
Go
We
get
love you.
more.
We
Go
out.
get more.
Peace
I
out.
like that.
So back to what I was saying. What I was saying.